Hey, this is Josh from Yoke, and today we're going to be looking at a couple of website examples, what these websites are doing right, what I like, what I dislike about them, and see if we can get some takeaways from that. I've pulled a lot of these websites from this article from Southern Side Media, 16 of the best website homepage design examples. Now, since their articles come out, interestingly, a lot of these websites have been updated. These are major companies, Airbnb and Mint and, Dropbox. These are big companies, so they're continuously evolving those websites. But let's dive straight in. So the first one is FreshBooks, and they've changed it a lot since when this article came out. It was a very sort of clean, with this tagline in the middle here, this big sort of blue background here being extremely predominant. Now it's actually quite a lot more messy. Now, I think that their old one looks a little bit dated, which makes sense. It's their older homepage, but I think that this new one looks quite messy. Accounting software built for business owners and accountants. I can at least understand exactly what they're about. And the images here show me that it's an app. And as I scroll down, it's probably a computer software as well. But so that's good. I at least understand what it's about. But I don't like the mess on the screen. Actually, when you open the website, it opens, let's open it again, but here, with this kind of like pop-up in the corner here, or it certainly has the last couple of times that I've opened it. Here we go. And this pop-up is actually quite messy in the corner here, especially with everything else that's going on. So if I just delete this, they've got this tagline at the top here saying, get 60% off, but they've also got that down here. Do they need it twice? The other thing I picked out is that they've got this social proof here. Now, I understand, why you would have the reviews straight on that homepage, getting 4.5 stars on Trustpilot, which is what this is taken from, is a really, great achievement. But what I dislike about that is that it's in this orange here. Now, I can understand why they've done it. They wanted to draw attention to this in green here. But in my eyes, orange doesn't convey 4.5 stars. Red would be 1 or 2 stars. 3 stars to maybe 3.8, 3.9 stars is orange, and then 4 and 5 stars should be green. So I'm not sure about that personally, but I understand why they've done it. They wanted to draw attention to this buy now and save, their call to action here. If I move over to their competitors here, this is QuickBooks by Intuit, I believe. So they're just competitors that I looked up. They're not actually on this article. I just wanted to see what their competitors were doing. And I actually prefer this website. I like how it's more segmented. They've got this box around here, which is unusually not in the same green as their logo here, but it's nice, it draws attention. They've still got a pop-up down here, but it's kind of hidden away, and you can click on it if you want to. They've got the same kind of offer, that buy 75%, blah, 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 blah. I quite like that their menu, blurs everything out. I've been seeing that on quite a few modern websites, this kind of blur features that that has been used quite a lot. Now, these are both SaaS businesses, and this will be something that pops up all the time. SaaS businesses, rely very heavily on their websites. That's their sales tools, their apps and their websites are software as a service. Do fantastic looking websites a lot of the time, so that will pop up quite a lot in this thing. So yeah, part of the reason I don't like this is it's quite cluttered down here. There's a lot going on. This image is quite irrelevant here. I get why they're doing it, like these two people using their phones. But yeah, whereas this one is a bit more segmented, just a little bit less cluttered. I don't really know if they need this banner here. They could get rid of this. This makes it a bit too cluttered as well, but they're saying the same sort of thing. And I prefer their social proof with the kind of green 4.5 stars. And, they've got more reviews, which isn't necessarily FreshBooks' fault. So moving on to a next website, and this is Airbnb. Now, on this article here, again, their website has changed. So it's very clean here, you book with a date here. Airbnb has interestingly moved away from that and into this kind of unique stay, and you can really see this on their new website here. I mean, immediately you go on it, you can tell what it's doing. It's trying to tell you, you book these stays, and we're doing really individual stays. So these are very unique, stay on a crane, it looks like here, or at a port, or in a spaceship, or like in a little jungle forest here. They're on this in this sort of football copper ball here on a London bus. Basically, they're saying that we're not a typical sort of hotel, come and stay at us and get food every evening. This is very unique, and they're straight in there on this. They don't really have to advertise their brand name anymore. Most people are familiar with Airbnb, or certainly a lot of people are, and consequently, they're straight into trying to sell you their product. Whereas Vrbo, who are an Airbnb competitor, VRBO, I don't know necessarily how to pronounce it, are a lot more like Airbnb's original website. Where do you want to go? When would you like to check in? When would you like to check out? And it's interesting, I like these sort of big boxes here. Maybe it feels a little bit old school now with this sort of image at the top. It's not the cleanest, but it's certainly good. Do you want a swimming pool? Do you need your pet to come with you? That's certainly something me and my partner have always looked at, bringing our dog with us. So, that works really well as well. This certainly isn't a bad website, but I do quite like this on the Airbnb one, that you're sort of thrown straight into it. And if you want to go up and book somewhere, and add check-in, check-out, they've got a really sort of nice user experience up here to do that. So let's get rid of these. And this next one here is Mint. So this is Mint, and it's by the firm Intuit. I think QuickBooks was earlier as well, or something around that. Oh, there it is, it's QuickBooks up there. And I really like this website. But what I don't like about it is these other ones at the top here. So obviously Intuit, however you pronounce it, own these other brands as well, including QuickBooks and MailChimp, or certainly have affiliations with them. And they've got this up here, but I think it pulls away from that beautiful color scheme they've got here, this kind of, funnily enough, mint color scheme. So I'm not a massive fan of how they pull those in at the top, but I understand that it's really good for their linking and their SEO goals more than likely. But if I scroll a little bit down, it's really nice. So it says, managing money made simple. So that doesn't necessarily exactly understand what it's about, but what it really does show is it's an app. You've got this guy holding a phone here of an app. You've got download on the Apple Store, get it on Google Play, and I really like that. And down here, you've got it as a mobile app. So it's showing that they're a clean user interface, money managing app, managing money made simple. And what it's really trying to do with its call to action is, don't mess around on this website, just download the app, get started using it. And I really like that, get on with it, just like that Airbnb kind of side of things. So that's really good. And they've got their social proof here as well. See why Mint is trusted by over 30 million users, 4-star, and they've got that as kind of a highlighted color here, which is really, really cool as well. So I like that. I think this image could be a little bit better quality. It just doesn't, it feels a little bit blurred around the edges here. The picture on this, as I zoom too far in, the picture on this mobile isn't great. Now, I understand you want a website to load quickly, but I think because it's the only image on their website, they could have maybe done a little bit of a better job with this as well. As you scroll down, I love this. It gets rid of this messy clutter menu up here, and you've just got this here. And these are so clear, really sort of visually showing you that the app is super simple, easy to use, not too much information, like on some of the other websites that we just hit. So yeah, and then they've got a lot down here. So they've got a lot of their menu at the bottom here, which is actually not my favorite layout, especially as like all this space here just doesn't have anything. So I think they could have done a better job, aligning this bottom bit here. But as a website front page, this is really, really nice. Now I pulled up one of Mint's competitors, Quicken, and they've got the same sort of thing here. Make better financial decisions, plan today, tomorrow. So maybe they're a little bit different. Maybe they're a little bit unaligned. You can see here that they're showing that they're not just an app, they're also a desktop program as well. So maybe they're a little bit different. What I really dislike about Quicken's website here is they've gone for this modern color here, this kind of like coral, reddy sort of pink. This all looks quite modern here, this blurred background here, the curve here, it all looks really nice. Their logo looks a little bit tired. This kind of red, this kind of darkened red doesn't look all that modern. This italic and the typeface, it just doesn't look, like a 2022 logo. So I think that although they have clearly updated their website, and it's really quite nice as you scroll down, their logo actually needs changing on this one for more than likely such a big brand. So I can go on here and I bet this website, monthly visits, 2 million, as I see. Yeah, 2 million monthly visits. So they're no small brand here. But I like this. The menu is really easy to use up here, and they're owned by this other firm, or they have another part of it, Simplify. But yeah, generally really, really nice. This is a nice stock image here. These are a little bit blurred as images goes. If I open this image in a new tab, again, it's that same thing that I sort of highlighted. I didn't like how blurred this was. This is really quite, it's not a quality image. And it actually shows it on quite an old desktop. I mean, this at the top here does not look like a, ridiculously modern program. So, they may need to play around with that. I mean, they could use things like we use, like Lottie images and stuff, where you zoom in and the quality just remains. You can zoom as far in as you like, and that quality is just brilliant, and it's still fast loading. So for such a big website, they could certainly have used some tricks there. So going on to the next one, which is Dropbox. So again, it's changed since this article came out, but it's still an incredible website. I actually really fell in love with this while playing around. So I had a little look at these websites beforehand, and I really like this one. The dark background is really cool. And this white here just draws attention to this. So whereas other websites, including our own here at Yoke, really pull you from side to side, the Dropbox website pulls you into this center here with this dark background and then this white here. So really, really cool. Most people these days understand what Dropbox is, a sort of online sort of file sharing and file storage service, and therefore they don't need to do loads and loads. So it's extremely clean on here. Join over 700 million registered users who trust Dropbox. So they've both got their tagline of social proof. Easy to use, reliable, private and secure. It's no wonder, but they're not really saying what they do. I mean, again, are people jumping onto their website that don't know what Dropbox does? Or are they just looking at Dropbox and saying, am I going to use Dropbox or Google Drive or, one of your competitors? So I really like that. As you scroll down here, you can see that their images are such a big role, and this is just so important. And interestingly, these big images, whereas the previous websites I criticized for not having a really nice clean image, these images are, they're high quality images and probably quite small file sizes. And they use colors fantastically here, really bright, really bold, really quite cool. And they've got a lot of their stuff here. Interestingly as well, they've got, whereas I criticized Mint for having these, these different brands up here, and as I scroll down a little bit, I much prefer this kind of single color look. Dropbox has it in the menu here. These are obviously, affiliate brands or brands that they own, something like this. Or maybe they're just features actually. So I might be a little bit wrong on that. So a Dropbox competitor, I went onto WeTransfer. Now WeTransfer is a website I just love for a certain reason. So let's just jump onto their website here because it looked a little bit different on that other one than I've seen earlier. So first of all, we're in Europe, so they're asking about cookies, so accept that. And then it immediately changes and takes us in here, and we've got bright, bold colors. Interestingly, I don't know what association it has with Intuit and MailChimp or whatever, but what I love about WeTransfer is you just can use it straight away. I don't know if people watching this have used WeTransfer before, but effectively you can just upload a file and send it to someone. It's kind of like no mess. Now they of course have different features and they've got a pricing plan and different things, but it really is a website you can jump on and use straight away. And I love that. It might not be the best way to capture people, but at the same time, it makes people come back and continue coming back. Obviously, they've got a video here if you want to watch it, and this image is just an incredible quality. It won't even let me zoom in on it. This is quite interesting. It's quite like a retro looking tagline here for whatever they're trying to get you to do here. But we'll jump off this one and we'll move on. And the next one I delete here is, as we've already seen, is whitehouse.gov. And this one's really interesting actually. A really quality image of a lot of happy people. Obviously Joe Biden sitting in the middle here at Camp Hale. Now you're gonna have to forgive me, I'm from the UK, so I might get a couple of things wrong, but I love the bold colors in this, you know, this bright blue background here and the kind of curves around this image. What I don't actually like is this cutout here. I understand they need to display the information somewhere, but it's a bit of a weird spot to cut out. You know, they've got this really clean image here. One thing I really like about this is this has become quite an iconic sort of logo for the White House that they came up with quite early. So I can zoom in on this here and you can see this. And I think it's had a couple of different iterations, but it is definitely an iconic, really sort of clean design of what the White House looks like. Interesting that when I zoom in that this changes from the White House to wh.gov. But what I really like about this is how this icon here pulls past the menu. So as I zoom out and zoom down, you can see that you know, this little icon overspills that top menu there. It's pretty cool, and they've got all these articles down there as you go further into the website, almost like a sort of blog news site. Really cool. One other thing that's quite interesting to draw attention to up here is the White House. You can kind of see that you actually don't need a logo in life. If you're just starting up a business, you can just use a typeface, get a really cool typeface, just pop in your brand name. You don't need to play around with that sort of icon for days or pay someone to do it. You can just find a really cool font and just use that font. So moving on a little bit here, Four Rivers Smokehouse. So let's jump onto this. So this is the first kind of video background we saw. And interestingly, it didn't load immediately. There was a bit of a lag time there. And this is some of the problem with videos. This is actually a really cool video in the sense that it's really engaging as a video. It's a lot of movement involved. It flicks around, it keeps the user engaged. And I love how they blacked it out here in the background so that this family owned, locally made, community focused is really sort of still visible, front and center. What I find quite interesting here is there's no movement when I hover over these, which I'm not a big fan of. Order takeout and delivery, order catering. It'd be interesting to find out how much of how much revenue catering is for Four Rivers Smokehouse, because it's very front and center here. And I don't imagine that it's a massive part of their business. They obviously have various locations at the top here. Now, how much revenue does their catering focus on? Is it 10%? Is it 20%? Is it 50%? Because if it's only 5%, 10%, do they really need to have that on the front page here, down here, because they've already got it at the top here. People know they do catering from the menu at the top here, or can see that. Does it need to be this front and centered, or could they embolden this order takeout and delivery on there? But I do like a video background. People have moved away from it in the past couple of years. They've gone for sort of more simple, cleaner things. Maybe Lottie images have kind of become this modern thing as well. But it is really, really cool. Another website that uses video really well would be, let's have a little look. It would be Blue Man Group, and Cirque du Soleil use it really well as well. So if I jump onto Blue Man Group's website and Cirque du Soleil, let's go. Cirque du Soleil. Now this actually isn't taking us to their main page, it takes us to their show page. But on their main page, this is a great video. Actually much, much better than this Smokehouse one, because Cirque du Soleil is just, of course, very exciting experience. And you can see it here, this sort of really zippy, in your face fire, flags, fireworks, really, really cool. And I love the use of colors on this website here. Really, really cool. Another thing that Cirque du Soleil do fantastically is this find shows and tickets follow you down. So instead of having a whole menu that follow you down, they've just got what they want you to do, buy the ticket. So that follows you down here. And this Blue Man Group have this same kind of thing here in their video background. And they're, of course, I believe, part of the same brand there. We actually copied something very similar on our website. So if I nip over to Pirates Adventure, which is a Mallorca thing, and I actually made this video here, and it's a very similar sort of thing that I really took inspiration from this Cirque du Soleil video. It's the same kind of thing. This Pirates Adventure do acrobatics and so on, and it had a great time making it. What's really important when you do a video background is having that file size to be really small and fast loading. I mean, this one loaded extremely quickly. It's like 2.9 megabytes, and this one was the same kind of thing. So it needs to be short, snappy, and here's on our one here, you can see this social proof and this sort of Trustpilot reviews thing here with over 5,000 online reviews, etc., etc., etc. And I followed suit with this secure tickets thing here, following you down the page. So I really took inspiration from the website here, which probably cost these people a lot of money to make. So moving on from that, what have we got next? This one didn't actually load, so we can skip right through this. Jill Konrath, who I'd never heard of before today, but if I can jump onto this here. Now, this is a really low quality image here. I actually downloaded it earlier just to see what kind of file size it is, and I found out that it was 100 kilobytes. It's just a really very low quality image, and it's actually not an extremely appealing looking website. It looks just like a WordPress kind of thing, and I can do that here if I scroll down, and using this tool up here, built with, I can see what's its content management delivery. There it is up here, content management. So they're using HubSpot here for their CMS over that of like WordPress or Webflow, which we use. So Jill Konrath. Now, interestingly, what this image does do is kind of take care of that social proof, which they're doing more down at the bottom here as well with this Forbes, Fortune, the New York Times. Really what it's showing is Jill Konrath is an authority on whatever they want it to say. And it's got sales here, sales connects, sales accelerated up here. And as I scroll down, funnily enough, I can see that she's got a book on more sales, less time. And I love the front cover of this book, by the way. It's so obvious what this book is about. More sales, less time. You read this book and you'll be able to gain more sales and spend less time getting those more sales. What I don't like about this website is, this low quality image, of course, is something I chatted about. It looks fairly low budget, to be honest, the website. Certainly not something I'd have on the 16 best website homepages at all. But what I really dislike is all the different colors. It really jumps around. You've got this kind of like, what would it be? Kind of dirty red, orange at the top here. And then you've got pink and this blue here. And then you scroll down, you've got a different kind of like cyany blue. And again with this red. And then she's wearing this green jacket here with this black background here. I mean, with a little bit of photo editing, this green could actually be the same as this coral red here. You know, you could really just cut these out and play around. And, you know, I don't know how many people come to this website. We can maybe have a little check. No, maybe not enough for them to actually do that. But it's a little bit messy. It's certainly not bad, and it does some things brilliantly. This social proof here, you know, this, you know, go and buy this book here straight away. You know, come to my blog, see these different things is quite nice, but not brilliant. Certainly not the 16. We've done quite a lot of SaaS websites, so I'm going to skip Evernote. I wasn't crazily impressed with it. This Boxbee website was quite interesting. So this is a storage moving company, moving boxes, rent, store, and we deliver. So I at least understand what they're doing. I don't like in the corner here how their logo isn't massive. You know, it's really small here, but you can see it in the images here. And I do like how the image in the background here, you know, it's multiple. It really does show that they're kind of a storage moving box thing, and that they're quite quality. You know, these boxes look really quite nice, and this vibrant yellow here. I think that they could have they've kind of made this box around here to embolden this tagline at the top here. And I think they could have made this even less transparent. And this down here, get started, is a really small tagline. I had a little look earlier, and these guys do actually use WordPress. I can see they've got WordPress plugins here like Yoast, Typekit, and WooCommerce, and bits and bobs like this. So if I continue down, I can see their content management system here is WordPress, but it looks like a fairly budget theme, to be honest. You know, this down here, why aren't these boxes? You know, I like that it's taking you to two different sides of the website. You know, are you here to rent? Are you here to store? So I like that, but can't they make these boxes a little bit bigger? This image takes us all the way to the sides of the page. And then down here, they've just got these sort of twiddly boxes here. And this is in quite small type, to be honest. Simplify your box. Another thing I don't like about it is the menu at the top here. Whereas on other websites we've seen, if I just open something else, they've got one of these things in bold here, order online now. Contact Jill at the top here is emboldened. And if I go up here, you know, why isn't order now in this sort of big tagline here? So it's not an incredible website, but I do like the video here. This video here, it shows this van in bright yellow. It looks like a really clean, modern van, so that's cool. So, you know, not all bad, but certainly could do better. So let's get rid of these two websites and continue down. eWeddings and Basecamp, Charity Water. I'll open a couple of these now. So eWeddings, this website I actually opened a couple of times because I thought it opened wrong. It kind of looks really transparent as a website. There's nothing really that bold on it at all. And maybe that's what they're going for, but I really dislike it. You know, what a domain name to have, eWedding.com. Probably costs them a fair little bit of money. And I think it's got a lot of users that pop into it as well. So well, maybe not then. We're sorry, we currently lack sufficient data. Okay, so we can't see that. But these look a little bit old now, these icons here. Certainly nothing fantastic. It looks very sort of WordPressy. This kind of color here just doesn't really do much for me. And this mute background color here as well. It all just looks just like someone's added a layer of transparency over the top of it, you know, like a white transparent layer. This font is awful as well. Certainly nothing, you know, not an imaginative font. When it says 9,000, sorry, nearly a million people have used this. Nearly a million couples have used this website. And for it to look like this is just not exciting. This movement is a little bit old school as well. It's just not doing that much for me. It just looks like a fairly drab website in 2022. So I'm going to get rid of this one. and we're going to go on to Basecamp. So we're back with our sort of SaaS, software as a service products here. And SaaS websites really, their website is their livelihoods. So this one has quite a long tagline at the top here. The refreshingly simple and remarkably effective project management platform. Well, that is a long tagline. And I think when I looked at it earlier, I think some of the words here are just completely unnecessary. I mean, you could shorten it down to the simple and effective project management platform. Why does it have to be refreshingly simple? Why does it have to be remarkably effective? They're just using too many descriptive words here. I like this big draw to this green. Try Basecamp for free. I like that they've got for free here. And they've got a very clean menu at the top there. In fact, they're choosing to put a lot of their menu and navigation at the bottom here in their footer, which I like. I don't think it needs to be in blue here, but it's quite interesting to have a very clean header like this. And they've got a bit more social proof here. And this weird yellow box appears as I come in here, which is a bit useless in my eyes. As I scroll down, this is the most amount of wording I've seen in a long time on a modern website. This website does actually get rated 13.5 million monthly visits. This is just way too much. I've never been on a homepage and started reading this much information from the get. Why can't this information be broken up? And certainly whacking these kind of like lines in bold does not break it up for me at all. And then as you come down here, this all looks really messy as well. And they're kind of like highlighting it, even though half of it's in bold anyway. I'm not a fan of this website, Basecamp. I certainly think that the homepage could be better. This one's interesting. But they didn't take us to the front page. So this is the actual homepage for the UK at least. Now, I've heard of Charity Water before, but I think they're very American, or they're certainly no more in America. I could certainly be wrong here, but effectively, I like this website. So I like that it's like that WeTransfer website that we had a little look at earlier. It's just straight on it. Give monthly, £20 a month, and they've gone straight for the middle option here. Maybe typically people pick the 10, but they're showing 5 is a very small amount, 10 is the middle, 20 and 40, and they go for that middle. And this is so typical of these kind of websites. Even on our own here, we've got this middle one here, and it's typically the one people go for. People pick that middle option. They don't pick the cheapest wine. They don't pick the £20 wine. They pick that middle option, that £8 to £12 sort of wine on the shelves in Tesco's, Morrison's, Asda, or wherever you go shopping. So I really like that. It gets on with it. People are here. They're here to give. Straight on there, they can do that right from the start. You don't need to learn about us. The video shows that as well. And this is a really nice video, really quality in the background here, showing exactly what they're about, bringing sort of, developing countries clean water. So moving on, TechValidate. So interestingly, we can see their old homepage here. I had a little look at this earlier, and I much prefer their new one. They've kind of done this the same similar thing to the Dropbox. If I go back onto Dropbox here, with that drawing the attention down here, and these guys have done it the same here, TechValidate. But what I think I first should highlight is their logo. So you can see this cleaner logo here than it was a little while ago. So beforehand, when this article was made, they had an icon up here. Tech and Validate were in different colors, and then they had a third color to say it was by SurveyMonkey. If I go up here, they've really cleaned it out. One color, a second color, and I really like that. So if I zoom back out and zoom back out on this one as well. So I like this, really clean. What I don't like about this is obviously TechValidate is by SurveyMonkey, but they've got kind of two menus at the top here. They've got this first menu and then this second menu here. It's just all quite confusing. When you scroll down, it gets rid of that top one, so that makes up for it a little bit here. And then I don't really understand what they're doing necessarily. So TechValidate is someone that I've never heard of before. So social proof at scale. Our software captures and transforms customer feedback into case studies, testimonials, reviews, and more. So I can scroll down here and see that it's been used by big companies here: Verizon, Experian, Booking.com, SendGrid, and Duo. And I do like how it segments it with different colors. Websites have kind of pulled away from that now. This is a bit of a weird image. This kind of like almost use of icons throughout, but then they've got a picture of this smartly dressed chap here using his iPad. I don't know, it doesn't necessarily resonate perfect with me, but it doesn't look too bad. And the color choices are quite nice in it as well. The brown shoes, very shiny, almost, you know, the same color as his hair here, and this yellow drawing you to the use of the iPad here. That's quite cool. So altogether, it's not a massively bad website, and they're drawing you to try and watch this video, which actually explains what it's about. And videos can be really, really good for that. You know, they can ensure that customers, you know, they can deliver information much, much quicker than, you know, a customer having to go and read about it, and they draw engagement as well. So moving on, so we've done charity water. What else have we got left on this one? We're out on this one. So there was another article, which was here. So 12 brilliant examples by Hotjar. So interestingly, they highlight the same kind of websites as well. So if I scroll up to the top here, they highlight Airbnb, which we've done, Dropbox, FreshBooks as well. And this is actually the UK page. It's different from the US page that we assessed earlier. And Hotjar is an app that, is an add-on to your website where you can see where people click to it. So they're probably assessing websites absolutely fantastically. So quite interesting. They're seeing where people click. Slack is a software as a service one, which we've done quite a lot of. So I'm going to skip over that. I'm going to go on to Wired Magazine, or in this case, Wired Online, I assume. So I can go on to Wired here, and different articles pop up. So bold colors drawing you to the attention of these articles here. And interestingly, you know, Wired is a big brand, and they've got this advertisement at the top here for Squarespace. So obviously they must get, they're earning money from, you know, if I decided to click on this article or click away from it. And it's an ad by Google, and I do find that's a little bit cheap for Wired, especially using the ads by Google thing. I'm not a massive fan of the, interesting when I, you know, how that you click it off. It doesn't look overly clean in the Google side of things. I'll get rid of this with the pop-up, but I like the bold colors on their title here, and they've got their recent ones, but really they're trying to draw you to attention here, and they're probably hitting different audiences with these different articles. The gig law causing chaos in California, that's quite clickbait one. Apple announces, that's for sort of the tech people. TikTok things. When I actually came onto Wired earlier, you know, only an hour ago or so, it had these three articles up here, which were actually quite different from the ones they've got here, which are quite clickbaity, whereas these ones looked a little bit more news-like. But interestingly, really clean website. The menu stays at the top as you come down. I think maybe these are a little bit small for me. This kind of small typeface here at the top, but really quite nice. Then we've got websites like e-commerce websites, which we haven't had a little look at yet, like Nike and Asos, which is, I don't know if it's a worldwide clothing brand or clothing website, but interestingly, they're taking me straight to women, or the page for women, because earlier when I was doing this same sort of test, I clicked onto women, and now it just will not let me back onto the main page. So interesting. So let's have a little look at Asos's website now we're on it. So I've opened an incognito tab that's now allowing me to go to their homepage, which is effectively a homepage geared towards getting you to click women or men. It doesn't let you scroll down. It doesn't let you do things. Basically, what they're asking you is, we want you to make the decision you know, are you shopping for women's clothing or are you shopping for men's clothing? I think this is really smart, actually. You know, they've got two sides of their brand, and people that are interested in men's clothing typically aren't interested in the women's clothing. People that are interested in the women's clothing typically aren't interested in the men's clothing. So a really cool way to, you know, just get immediately that first decision to be made. But what I don't like about it is how small the buttons are. You know, they've got it at the top here, women, men, like that, you know, easy menu choice at the top here. Get 15% off. These kind of clothing brands live off this kind of, you know, small discounts at the top here. But the choice of shop women, shop men is really quite small here. If I go onto the Nike, if I click on women, which this one has taken me to, they've got very bold colors that appear down it, and it's very, you know, the bold starts and doesn't stop with the colors here. They've got this, you know, sort of big advertisement for their Horizon clothing line here you can click on. But it doesn't have loads of images of products. More they're gearing towards the brands here than the products themselves. You know, a lot of branding across here. If I go onto Nike's website, it's very different. And one thing I immediately loved about Nike's website is download our app. You know, they're clearly trying to push people to have that Nike app on their mobile phones or their tablets. And the QR code is a really nice touch, really quite liked that. And I haven't seen that on loads of other websites before. Their website looks super cool and urban and sort of, you know, young hipster vibey with this kind of vintage kind of looking photo background of these kind of like cool sunglasses down here with these cool people wearing that sort of thing, and down here further that as well. So it's quite interesting how what they're going about there. And then they jump into, you know, a major seller, which is Nike Air Force Ones, and they've also got some kids shoes here as you come across. Interestingly, as you go further down, they've got more sort of outlandish shoes. Maybe these are their sort of best sellers, these Air Force Ones, which they immediately sort of draw people to. And then they've got the maybe sort of newer, sort of more unique buys down here. And yeah, I quite like that side of it here. Lovely images, really high quality, very, very cool website. Perfect. With that, we're going to finish today. I might do more of these in the future if it's a much liked video, but I think looking at these, you know, very expensive websites, we've got to understand that these teams of people behind these major websites will have spent thousands, if not, you know, tens, even millions of pounds on those website designs, and they'll continuously update them. But we can always learn from their amount of expenditure, new tips and tricks, and what we like and what you don't like about those websites. So it's really important to have a little look to gain that understanding. So really, really cool stuff on that side of things. Let me know if you like it. Let me know any websites that I should assess, or if you'd like us to have a little assessment of your own website. Yeah, just check it out. Check out our own websites at yoke.co.uk or yoke.io. This is Josh from Yoke. See you in the next video.